Hello and welcome back to Soft Gaming. Today's video will showcase a 2023 graphics mod list to overhaul your vanilla Skyrim into something more modern. There are also comparisons between vanilla and modded visuals for most mods, so I hope you enjoy. To start off is the texture overhaul known as Skyland All-in-One. This mod essentially retextures all of Skyrim, including landscapes, architecture and dungeons, and will be used as the base for this mod list. Most textures will be overwritten by other mods, so make sure to load this one first. However, the major asset being used from Skyland are the rock terrain and mountain textures, as well as filling in a few gaps. There is also an optional landscape parallax add-on for this overhaul that will give some extra pop to your terrain, which is also being used in this video and will be linked down below as well. The other main landscape mods are the Terrain Parallax Collection by Mysterious Dawn. These mods cover all the different terrains around Skyrim with beautiful parallax textures, providing both great detail and 3D mapping to really modernize the visuals of Skyrim. Now there is an all-in-one version of these mods called the Omnibus, which you are welcome to use. However, for this overhaul I will only be using 5 of the terrain textures, as other mods will be used to cover the other areas. I will link all 5 that I personally use down below, but if you would rather just use the all-in-one Omnibus, that will be linked as well. One of the terrain textures not part of the Omnibus is the Serene Shores mod, which will coat the coastline of Skyrim with stunning golden sand. This is a pretty big deviation from the vanilla Skyrim aesthetic, but it's one I really enjoy. Of course, if you are not a fan, you can just skip this one. Moving on to the colder parts of Skyrim, we have the Vivid Landscapes Complex Parallax Occlusion Snow mod. Now this mod will transform your lifeless vanilla snow into glorious fresh powder that looks incredibly realistic and 3D. For me, this is the best looking snow mod out there and one I had to use in this overhaul. It also blends very well with the last mentioned parallax mods from Mysterious Dawn. For the ice, located on the northern parts of Skyrim, we will be using the mod called Northern Ice, which will give your glaciers and icebergs a beautiful deep blue colour. This is not a huge difference from the original vanilla texture, but it's one that I really enjoy. A little bit more fantasy than realistic, and it fits the style of the game very well. Next, we will be using the mod called Water for ENB, which is a complete overhaul of all the water in the lakes and rivers found around Skyrim. This will transform your vanilla water into something that looks more realistic and clear, similar to the real world. The mod does also come with multiple color options, so you can pick the style that you want for your game. For example, you can have a brighter teal blue or a darker deep blue for your water. To use alongside this, I also recommend the Rally's Water Foam mod to make the whitewater rapids and waterfalls to appear more realistic as well. These two mods combine to make a fantastic visual landscape for your rivers and lakes found around Skyrim. Next we have a personal favourite mod of mine called Skyrim 3D Rocks, which, as the name does suggest, will replace the small and medium-sized rocks dotted around Skyrim with more realistic 3D counterparts. These textures have been done using photogrammetry, so are very highly detailed and can stand out a bit on the landscape, but they look so good in game that it doesn't really matter to me. To finish off the landscape section is a mod not actually related to landscapes, but I wasn't sure where to put it, so here we are with the mod called 8K Night Skies, Stars and Galaxies. This mod will give you a comprehensive visual overhaul of the night sky in beautiful high definition quality. Absolutely stunning and a big difference over the vanilla night sky. Now let's move on to some tree mods, and for this section I wanted to give you a couple of options. First is the fantastic Traverse the Ulvenwald tree overhaul, which is an all-in-one option to cover all the trees around Skyrim. This mod provides a massive variety of trees that creates a realistic feel to the game of what an actual forest would look like. It's a fantastic tree mod and one that I have used for a long time. I highly recommend you check this one out if you haven't already. Performance wise, I would say it's decent and doesn't make the forest too dense, but still expect a slight drop in frames when using this mod. The other option is a mix of 3 different tree mods that used together will give certain areas of Skyrim a more unique feeling. For the pine trees, we have the Happy Little Trees mod. Now this mod does come with a faux mod, so make sure you choose the pine tree only option when installing. A couple of reasons I love this mod is it has one of the best looking pine tree models, especially the snow pine tree, and it's also very low on performance, so can be used with low end PCs. For the reach, we have Blubbos tree replacer for the reach, which will give you a pretty drastic difference when comparing with vanilla Skyrim. These new trees are very tall and cast an imposing figure on the landscape. Morthal Swamp in particular feels and looks amazing with these tall dark trees on the horizon. And lastly, for the aspen trees, we have the Aspens Ablaze mod, which will transform the rift into a colourful and beautiful golden autumn forest for you to explore. This mod looks great and just builds upon the vanilla style of aspen trees. Also a little bonus is the Rudy Falling Leaves and Needles mod, which will display falling leaves across your screen, perfect for some enhanced autumn visuals. Moving to the lower canopy, let's take a look at some grass and other Flora mods. Firstly, we have QW's Grass Patch 2, which combines 3 other grass mods, Cathedral 3D Pinegrass, Original Forest and Folkvangr, into one giant grass mod. This creates a diverse Skyrim where each hold feels unique, with different types of grass covering the ground. On the Whiterun Plains is long, thick-bladed grass built to survive the tough conditions. In Folkvangr are lush green plants scattered over the forest floor, and in the rift you will find small ferns mixed in with colourful lupin flowers. Altogether, this mod creates a stunning visual feast for your landscape. To add on to that is the mod called Nature of the Wildlands Forest Debris Only, which adds increased debris onto the forest floor with objects such as tree stumps, fallen trees and broken branches. This mod really adds to the immersion and makes the forest feel like a living and ever-changing place. For the flowers and other plants located around Skyrim, I recommend using the Cathedral 3D Collection. This selection of mods will transform the rather bland and sad looking vanilla assets into beautiful 3D models. There are many different mods here that cover a wide variety of plants, so I will link all the ones that I use down below, but you can always check out the mod authors page for more if you want. Moving on to some architecture mods for Skyrim, let's start with the Skurkbro Retexture project all-in-one. This mod is a performance-friendly retexture of all things Skyrim that utilize features such as parallax and the latest ENB binaries to make your game look more modern. For this mod list, we will be grabbing a few of the files to install, but not all. First is the SRP architecture, which will overhaul all the buildings around Skyrim, including the cities such as Markarth, where you can see a pretty drastic change between the vanilla and modded versions, as well as the interiors of all of those buildings as well. The other file we want is the SRP dungeons, which will transform all the textures of the dungeons found around Skyrim, ranging from ancient Nordic ruins to the mines and the caves, as well as the old imperial forts. A really beautiful overhaul that creates a distinct style for Skyrim. Each file also comes in different resolutions, ranging from 1K all the way up to 4K, so you can make your own choice depending on your own system. I also recommend picking up the SRP Misc file, which will update some smaller objects found around the world. Next, we have a WizKid Parallax Farmhouse mod, which will overhaul the exterior and interior of all farmhouse related models, including the stone walls. This mod contains high quality textures and adds parallax to give that nice 3D effect. We will then pair this mod with the Northern Farmhouses mod, which will further transform each farmhouse to have a more Nordic theme to them. Absolutely beautiful models here that when combined create a stunning set of buildings for you to become fully immersed in. Here you can see the difference between a vanilla farmhouse and the newly modded version. To continue with the Nordic theme, we have the mod called Northern Roads. This mod will overhaul all of the roads and bridges found around Skyrim, as well as adding new Nordic themed assets to the roadside to create a truly stunning visual landscape for your game. I also recommend using the Retexture mod that will make your roads look even better and also comes with complex parallax support. Now I do want to mention that this mod does require a lot of patches to work properly, so may not be suitable for beginners. I will link 2 of the large patch collections down below that should sort most of these issues, but I also recommend going into loot and changing the mod group from default to a world space setting, which should give Northern Roads priority over a lot of other mods and fix most of the landscape issues. Continuing on, we have a mod called Glorious Doors of Skyrim. This mod is an all-in-one pack that will overhaul all of the doors found in your game. These new doors all look amazing, especially the large gates to each city and the entranceway to dungeons. Most doors also have a small mechanic when being opened or closed and adds a fantastic little detail to your game. Now let's take a look at some lighting mods. First is the ever popular Lux Lighting Overhaul, which will rework all of Skyrim's interior lighting to feel both more realistic and dramatic for your gameplay. A good lighting mod will truly change your experience of playing Skyrim, and this one is one of the best. It also has an easy installation with built-in foam mod featuring many patches for other mods. To go alongside Lux is the Lux Orbis mod, which is a complete rework of the exterior artificial lighting such as fire pits or lanterns, again creating a much more dramatic and warm environment for your game. This mod also features an extensive installation foam mod which will detect any patches required and is fully compatible with all weather mods. And to finish the lighting section is the fire mod called Embers XD, which will overhaul all of the fire sources within the game. This is just a really great fire mod that offers a unique and fantasy style to your Skyrim. Here you can see the difference between the vanilla fire and this mod, which is pretty drastic. The charcoal and burning wood especially look fantastic. Now let's turn our attention to an ENB, and for this mod list we will be using the Berserker ENB with the nat.enb weather plugin. Together these will transform your Skyrim into a stunning visual treat with contrasting bright colours and deep moody shadows. A really great combination that I have enjoyed for a long time. Of course you are welcome to use any ENB you wish with this overhaul, and I will also link a video that showcases some of the top ENB presets for Skyrim this year. Also, if you are new to ENBs, I have an ENB guide video that goes over the installation and initial setup. With your ENB, there are also a couple of add-on mods that I recommend using. The first is a mod called ENB Complex Grass, which makes grass shadowing appear a lot more detailed and natural. For this to work properly, you will need to download a patch for each grass mod used in QW's Grass Patch 2, a total of 4 patches. This can be a little confusing, so I will outline which patches you need down below in the description. I will also say that this mod is optional, and your game will still look great if you choose not to use this mod. Another ENB feature add-on is the Parallax Occlusion Mapping mod, which adds occlusion mapping, making parallax textures look incredible and appear more 3D with actual depth. To get this to work properly in-game, you will need to enable all the complex parallax effects in your ENB series configuration file. I will put an example configuration down in the description below that you can copy if you want, because it can be a little confusing for beginners. Next are just a couple of bonus mods of my favourite standalone objects that I really enjoy and recommend using. The first is called Better Chests, which redesigns each chest with a new model. Here you can see the difference between the vanilla grand chest and the new modded one. These designs are much more detailed and look fantastic in game. Then we have the Ancient Pottery mod, which will make the urns and pots you find inside dungeons appear a lot more rustic and ancient. Given that these urns have been sitting there for hundreds of years, it makes sense that they would have some dust and look a little worn out. A great mod that I highly recommend. And then we also have the Rally mods that retexture little objects found around the world of Skyrim. These include objects such as crates, handcarts, barrels, and many more. So if you are interested, I will link the mod page down below where you can have a look for yourself, as well as all the ones that I personally use for this mod list. And lastly is Dyndolod, a more advanced tool to enhance the loading distance of certain objects such as terrain, trees and grass. For those interested and who know what they are doing, I will link mods that are related to be used with this tool. For beginners who want to try doing this, I recommend reading through the step guide and watching some installation videos as well. However, don't worry, if you do not complete this step, your Skyrim will still look amazing. Otherwise, that's it for this visual overhaul of Skyrim. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again next time. Cheers.